Alrighty, we are live. Started. Oh wow, Bob's already back on, or Dina's on, one of them. Before we get started, I just want to let y'all know that I know that our internet has been on and off. Thanks to, I don't know if Bob or Dina just logged on, but thank you to Bob and to David Branis and to David Ginsburg and to Rabbi Feivel and to Michelle Brooks for all working together to figure out how to make our internet better today. So hopefully the internet will be on tomorrow. That's the hope. I'm here now because there were people working on the internet. Hopefully our internet will be on tomorrow. If it's not, I just want to show you a couple of different ways that you can access Shabbat services. So first, absolutely check our website. It should be up and it should be running and it should be fine because it all just got fixed. But if it's not, a couple of great alternatives are one, you can support another local Shreveport community and another local Shreveport community, B'nai Zion. And I'll show you how to log on their website, unless I just closed that window. I did not. Let me just change that page. Dave just signed on, and I just said thank you so much for rushing over the synagogue to help with our internet. So just in case our internet happens to go out tomorrow, I don't think it will, but just in case it does, one option, which I'm going to put in the chat, is to learn Torah and look at a Shabbat and attend a Shabbat morning service with Rabbi Jana. And you would go to her website, to the B'nai Zion congregation site, go to the Torah study page, and then you would need to go all the way down to the bottom of the page and type in your first name and your last name and all of that to get the link. So that's if you'd like to attend Rabbi Jana's service, should our service go off. If you'd rather be at a more conservative service that looks like our normal Saturday morning service, we have been graciously invited to the service of Shir Hodesh in New Orleans, which I believe is the only other conservative congregation in Louisiana. So we've been invited to attend their services as well. You can go to sharehodesh.org. You would scroll down and press click here to join our Shabbat morning services online. Now, again, I believe, thanks to David Ginsburg and to so many others, I do believe that our services are going to work fine tomorrow, but just in case, you have other options as well. So I'm going to put Shir Hodesh's address in here too, just in case.
If I may.
Yes.
This gentleman that responded quickly this afternoon cleared pathways and reset paths to the sanctuary and even got it running a little bit faster than what it was previously. But the bottom line appears to be that we are at the verge of outgrowing the system that we've got with AT&T in the synagogue. And we're probably going to have to go to a faster, more commercial system than the home unit we've got that we've been making do for quite some time. So that's it in a nutshell, and I think we'll be good for tomorrow. So hope to see you all then.
I hope to see you online. I'm going to be singing into a microphone tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock a.m. and hopefully you'll be able to see me and listen to me as well. All right, so we'll start our service. I think this weekend, a big focus that I'd like to talk about, among others, is this idea of love. We often don't talk about love in Jewish services, but Valentine's Day is coming up on Sunday, and so I figured, why not focus a little bit on where we see love in our liturgy? So one of the first poems that, yes, we are going to talk about the half shekel as well, but I don't really see what that has to do with love. I'd be interested in seeing interpretations for that. But we're going to be talking about the half shekel tonight. But one of the first poems that we sing traditionally in our Shabbat service is going to be Yedid. And Yedid is just this beautiful, beautiful poetry, talking about the love that we share with God, or not just the love that we share, but the desire that we have for God's love. So there's the word Yedid also comes from the same word as Dod. So we'll see later in Lecha Dodi, we're talking to our beloved. Yedid and Dodi are both my beloved. And Rabbi Arthur Green has a beautiful interpretation of this word Dod or Yedid. He says when we're talking about the Dod to which this poem is addressed is the inner self. And indeed, Bracha Zak reminds us in her reading of Ayelet Ahavim that there's this unique commentary on the Song of Songs, that this word Dod is used throughout the Song of Songs. And when we turn to the Dod, when we turn to this beloved, we're turning to ourself, right? And the self towards which we're turning here is the inner self, that which is about to reveal itself. And so here, and we'll talk a little bit about this in tomorrow's service, please God, we're not only talking about the importance of loving God or the desire to love God, but the desire to get ourselves to a state in which we can really love who we are and how we live in the world. So we'll start out with this beautiful poem today, Yedid Nefesh. And I would love, just with a raise of hands, would somebody volunteer to read the English of this poem? I think I see Elliot. Elliot, would you read the English of this poem for us? You are muted.
There we are. Okay. Oh, I'm on mute.
No, you're not. Oh, hold on. I'm asking you to unmute again.
Okay. Okay. Soulmate, loving God, compassion's gentle source. Take my disposition and shape it to your will. Like a darting deer will I rush to you. Before your glorious presence humbly will I bow. Let your sweet love delight me with its thrill, because no other dainty will my hunger still. How splendid is your light, illuminating the world. My soul is weary, yearning for your love's delight. Please, good God, do heal her, reveal to her your face, the pleasure of your presence, bathed in your grace. She will find strength and healing in your sight. Forever will she serve you, grateful with all her might. What mercy stirs in you since days of old, my God? Be kind to me, your own child, my love for you requite. With deep and endless longing, I yearn for your embrace, to see my light in your light, basking in your grace. My heart's desire, find me worthy in your sight. Do not delay your mercy, please hide not your light. Reveal yourself, beloved, for all the world to see, and shelter me in peace beneath your canopy. Illumine all creation, lighting up the earth, and we shall celebrate you in choruses of mirth. The time, my love, is now. Rush, be quiet, be quick, be bold. Let your favor grace me in the spirit of days of old.
Beautiful. Thank you, Elliot. I always love how you read poetry, the rhythm with which you read. For those who don't know, Elliot himself is a poet. So
Thank
here
you.
we're asking God, we're turning to God with that vision of love, right? And we're asking ourselves, and we're asking God to be quick, right? Not to wait in that love of God, but the moment that we think about God, to take action, to be closer. And that can be action in the form of prayer. That can be action in the form of mitzvot. To be graceful in love. So grace can look like dressing up for Shabbat services, or it can look like, bringing out my best candlesticks for Shabbat. It can take so many forms, but I love the different, the beauty that's inherent in this idea of love of God. And throughout this Kabbalat Shabbat service, we have poetry that goes beyond the logistical prayer that we often focus on. So let's sing together Yedid Nefesh. And if the Hebrew is a lot, you're always welcome to just hum along. Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman Mishochavda El Ritzonach Yarut Avdach Kemo Aya Yishtachaveh El Mul Hadarach Yerav Lo Yedidutach Mino Fetzu Vechol Tam Hadur Naeziv Halam Nafshi cholat ahavata ana elna rifana la beharad la no amzivach as titchazek vetitrape והייתה לך שפחת עולם ותקיימו רחמך וחוסנה על בין אוהבך כי זה כמה נחשוף Lirod Tiferet Uzach Adai Machmad Libi Chushana Ve'atitalam Higalena Ufros Chaviv Alai Etzukat Shelomach Tahiretz Mikvodach Nagila Benismecha Bach Maher Ahuv Kivamoi Vechonini ki me'olam Yadadadadadai 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 And we'll take a step back. We haven't yet welcomed in the Shabbat angels, so we'll do that now. We'll sing Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Anachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitzchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. And we'll sing together Psalm 95. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena haladonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena haladonai. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, nekadma fana betoda. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena ladonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena ladonai. And Elliot, since you started us out tonight, will you lead us in our responsive reading, Elliot and Sharon?
Okay. Yeah.
Let us sing to Adonai. Let us rejoice in our Creator. Let us greet God with thanksgiving, singing psalms of praise.
Adonai is the foundation of all life, exalted
beyond
all
all man's worship.
In God's hand rests the world he fashioned, sea and land, abyss and mountain peak. All are God's.
Let us worship Adonai, exalt our Creator, our God. We are the flock guided by God. Is ours
even today. If we would listen to the divine voice.
Harden not your heart in the way of your ancestors, who tried and tested me in the wilderness, even though they had witnessed my miracles.
40 years.
40 years of contending with that generation.
Led me to say, they are
wayward. They care not for my ways.
In indignation, therefore, did I vow, never would they reach my land, the land of peace, the land of rest.
Beautiful. Right. We're going to approach Psalm 97 tonight. And this is one that we don't normally do, but there's this line in here that those who love Adonai hate evil. And so it takes this love of God, right? And it takes this love of God and equates it in a sense of with a love of good. We say earlier in the Psalm, God's throne is founded on justice. So just saying I love God isn't enough, right? That we have to enact that good in the world wherever we see it. We have to actively be looking out for where is there injustice in the world and taking action to undo that injustice, right? Not just what one thing that makes Judaism unique, I think, is that active nature of love of God, that it's not just saying, but it's doing as well. So we'll sing together. This is another beautiful melody. You can either sing along with the Hebrew or feel free to hum along as well. This is a melody in two parts, so I'll repeat each part so that we can hum through it together, even if you don't, even if you're still listening the first part. Shama v'tismach Zion v'tagelna benot Yehuda leman mishpatecha Adonai ki ata Adonai Elyon al kol haaretz me'ona leita al kol Elohim. Once more. Shama v'tismach Zion v'tagelna benot Yehuda leman mishpatecha Adonai ki ata Adonai Elyon al kol haaretz me'ona leita al kol Elohim ohave Adonai sinura shomer nafshot chazidav me'ad reshayim yatzilei or zaru ala tadik L'Yisrael simcha simchu tzadikim Adonai ve'hadu lezecher kodsho ohave Adonai sinura shomer nafshot chasidav me'ad reshayim yatzilei or zaru ala tadik L'Yisrael simcha simchu tzadikim Adonai ve'hadu lezecher kodsho. And Sharon and Elliot will lead us again in the responsive reading.
Adonai is sovereign. Let the world rejoice.
God's throne is founded on justice. Though God be clouded
from view,
divine justice
God's presence.
God's lightning illumines the earth. Fire consumes God's foes. Mountains melt like wax before Adonai. The earth trembles.
The heavens proclaim God's righteousness. All people behold God's majesty.
Shame covers those who worship idols, those who take pride in revering images, which must themselves bow low before God.
Honoring your judgments, Adonai, or hearing of your judgments, Adonai, Zion exalts and the cities of Judah rejoice.
You are supreme over all the earth, highly exalted beyond all that is worshipped.
Those who love Adonai hate evil. God protects the faithful and saves them from the
wicked.
Make it big.
Life is poured from the righteousness, joy for the honorable.
Send her a chat.
Rejoice.
Adonai, you
Rejoice in Adonai, you the righteous, in the holiness of God's name.
God's name. And I will certainly make it bigger, but I'm going to move to a different page now. We often sing just a little portion of Lecha Dodi, of that bit of that poetry by Shlomo Alkabetz, of that poetry by Shlomo Alkabetz. We often sing the first two and the last two verses, but there are quite a few verses in between. And the custom in Israel is that we sing the first half in one tune and the second half in another tune. And so those two tunes, we're still going to use those two tunes today, but two tunes that we already know if we've been to services a few times. It's this beautiful imagery here of welcoming in the bride. And we can ask, who is the bride? Right? Is it God? Is it Shabbat? And my favorite interpretation is that when we're saying, come my beloved, when we say, come my beloved, we're asking God to join us. Come on, God, join us, and to greet the bride, to greet Shabbat. Because we often say, there are so many texts that say that Shabbat is our partner. There's a midrash where Shabbat is complaining to God. Shabbat is saying, okay, we've got day 1 and 2 have partners, day 3 and 4 have partners, day 5 and 6 have partners, but I'm day 7, who's my partner? And God says the people of Israel is your partner. So here we're joining with God to greet Shabbat as it comes in, to greet this lovely 25 hours of rest, of contemplation, and of hope, because Shabbat really, in a sense, is a representation of the world that we're trying to get to. We simulate this rest, this feeling of rest, so that we know what we're working towards in the future. So we'll sing together Lecha Dodi. Unfortunately, I don't have all of the transliteration here, but hopefully you can sing that verse of Lecha Dodi over. And even if you don't have the Hebrew, you can always hum along as well. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmianu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad, L'shemu tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelecha, Ki mekor habaracha, mehirosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Mihikdash melech ir melucha, kum mitzai mitocha hafecha, ralach shevet be'emek kabacha, vehu yachmol alayich chemla. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitna ari meyafar kumi, Liv shibigdei tifartech ami, Yahayad ben Yishai beit halachmi, Korvai el nafshi ge'ala. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hit oreri, Kiva ori, Kumi ori, Uri shir daberi, Kevod alai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Lo tevoshi velo tikami ma tishtochachi umatehemi bach yechasu ani ehami veniv netayir altila la 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 lecha lecha dodi likrat kala pene pene Shabbat nekabela lecha lecha dodi likrat kala pene pene Shabbat nekabela v'hayulim shisa shosayich v'rachaku kol mevalayich yasis alayich Elohayich kimsas chatana kala la 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 lecha lecha dodi likrat kala pene pene Shabbat nekabela lecha lecha dodi likrat kala pene pene Shabbat nekabela Yaminu small tifrotzi ve'et Adonai taritzi ayarish ben partzi ve'nismecha ve'nagila la 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 lecha lecha dodi likrat kala pene pene Shabbat nekabela lecha lecha dodi likrat kala pene pene Shabbat nekabela boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam besimcha u'v'tzola, tochem u'neiyam sebula, boi chala boi, chala la 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 lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela, lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. If you stood up, you may be seated. One moment while I pull up that Kabbalat Shabbat presentation again. Right. So we'll continue with a psalm for Shabbat, and we sing together. Mizmor shir liyom hashabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai. Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Mizmor shir liyom hashabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai. Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Lehagid baboker chasdecha, ve'emunatcha baleilot. Alei asor v'alei navel, alei gayon bechtinor. Mizmor shir liyom hashabbat, tov lodot l'Adonai. Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, uzamer l'shimcha elyon, uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Tzadik katamar yifrach, ke'erez b'levanon yiskeh, shetulim beveit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu. Od yenuvun beseva, deshenim mera'ananim yiyu lehagi, ki ashar Adonai turi velo avlata po. And Elia, take us away for a final responsive reading.
Okay. Yeah.
It is good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God.
to affirm your
Affirm
love
your love each morning,
and your
and
faithfulness
faithfulness each
night,
night.
to the
To
music
the
of
music of the lute,
melody
the
of the
melody of the harp.
Your works, Adonai, make me glad. I sing with joy of your creation.
how
How
vast
vast your work,
Work,
Adonai. Your designs are beyond our grasp.
grass.
The thoughtless cannot comprehend, the foolish cannot fathom this.
The wicked may
It may
grow
flourish, springing up like grass,
but their
but their
doom
doom
is
is still,
for you
for
are
you are supreme forever.
Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish. All the wicked shall crumble.
but me you have
You have greatly exalted.
I am
I'm
anointed
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 with fragrance and oil.
I have seen the downfall of my
Downfall of
foes.
my foes. I
I
have
have
heard the despair of my attackers.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they will thrive in the courts of our God.
they shall bear
Shall bear fruit even in old
Even in old
age.
age,
they
They
shall
shall
be
be
ever
ever fresh and fragrant.
to
proclaim
proclaim Adonai
Adonai
is
is
just,
just,
rock.
my
my
rock,
rock,
in whom there is no flaw.
Thank you. Thank you, Elliot and Sharon, for leading us tonight. We'll sing Vishamru. It's customary to rise for Vishamru. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti leolam, oti leolam, v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz, v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. U'bayom hashvi Shabbat v'yinafash, Shabbat v'yinafash, Shabbat v'yinafash, v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. Right. If you are standing, you may be seated. I do have something that I'm hoping to be able to teach tonight, but I'm seeing that the sun is setting. It's getting closer to the 18 minutes after 5:40. And so I'm going to continue a little bit. And if I don't get to what I was going to teach tonight, I'm hoping to teach it tomorrow morning or next year on Shabbat Shekalim. But for now, let's say a prayer for healing. A Misha Berach. If you have somebody who you'd like to add to the Misha Berach list who you know isn't on there right now, I would love for you to put their name in the chat. And we're going to sing the Misha Berach together so that we can heal for full healing of body, of soul, and of spirit for each and every person in our hearts at the moment. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBaracha Laimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Today we are praying for Hannah Ruth Batsara, Jerry Sheehan, Sherry Trainmar, Lainey and Lovey Chisholm, David Ben Rivka, Yosef Ben Chaya, Lonzo Smith, Abraham Ben Chana, Shmuel Yosef Ben Sarah, Ronald Joseph Alberts, Miriam Leah Imani, Janet Losk, Bobby Van Cleve, Jerry Grosia, Elad Imani, Patricia Parker, Sarah Lily Bat Dvorah Shmuela, Dvorah Leah Bat Leah Freda, Leah Bat Chana, Chana Miro Bat Sarah, Gabriel Bat Chana, Surah Anya Bat Dvorah Leah, Barbara Sauer, Shira Leah Bat Sarah, Betty Wilson, Anthony and Randy Trangmar, Jean and William Vlahos, Basia Surah Bat Miriam, Leah Bat Sarah, George and Vicky Head, Dina Bat Sarah, Yoel Binyamin Ben Atra Shoshana, Ariel Dvorah Bat Chuni Yaakov, Daniel Pella Ben Chuni Yaakov, Francis Samuel Owen Strain, Teresa Walker Greer, Matthew Mowry, Masha Bina Bat Tivi, Yisrael Ben Sarah, Kay Collier, Paula Cornelius, Bill Cornelius, Chana Leah Bat Chaim Berezel, Herschel Stiegel, Carol Stiegel, Tracy O'Keefe, Ashley Goodman, Dorothy Rosenfeld, Charlotte Arnold Levy, Robin Brockington, Geraldine Zelinsky, Cheryl Shirley, Mephibosheth Ben Bracha, Yitzchak Ben Avraham, Rivka Bat Rachel, Shimon Ben Ovadia, Anthony Nida, Bryant Davis, Chaim Avraham Ben Basia Esther, Lynn Rosh, Melissa McCulloch, Christy and Shane Stiegel. May they experience full healing of body, of soul, and of spirit. Mi shebeirach imotenu mekor habaracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. And we say together in the English, our Misha Berach for healers. Thank God the COVID numbers are going down nationwide this week. And we hope, we pray that that keeps going and that our healers keep up the strength they've been showing so well in the past few weeks and really in the past year. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless all who engage in acts of healing and all who visit the sick. May the Holy One justly reward them and bless them with wisdom and understanding, strength, and openness as they faithfully engage in their tasks. May all their works be blessed and successful, along with all those of all the people Israel, and let us say Amen. Today at Agudath Achim, we are remembering quite a few amongst our midst. If you have a name that is not on our community yard site list, someone you're remembering today, please let me know, and or please put their name in the chat and I'll mention their name as well. Today we're saying Kaddish for Joanna Montgomery Brown, Victor Kolanko, Bessie Schwartz, Bessie Fish-Murov, Kurt Strauss, Becky Abrams, William Bath, Ralph Simon Siegel, Molly Rose Gelfand, Goldie Sternberg, Ann Gamza, Joey Tabelli, and we are still in Shloshim for George Rothkopf. Zichronam Libracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Also Mary Trimmingham. If you are saying Kaddish today, please rise and recite with me. Yit Gadal ve'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayachon u'yomechon u'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam
U'le'olam. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei kudshat b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. All right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm really glad that everybody is here. It's good to see your faces today. We have quite a lot going on at our synagogue. It's been buzzing with people, with new security machines as well. We have a camera system finally in. We're waiting for our doors. And so that's why if you've driven by our synagogue, everything's been a buzz. So this Shabbat is Shabbat Shekalim. I'm not going to do a whole teaching right now because of limited time, but what I will say is that Shabbat Shekalim, way back in our Torah, we read a portion tomorrow of a moment in which the Israelites were all asked to give a half shekel to the community, a half shekel for the building of the Mishkan, for the building of the tabernacle in the desert. Later, that turned into an annual donation to the Holy Temple of a half shekel that happened the week before the month of Adar began. And they basically would go out and say, hey, donation time is starting. Your temple dues are due at the end, or at the beginning of Nisan. It was a half shekel. It was just a little bit so that poor and rich alike could donate to the temple. And the first thing I always think about when I think about Shabbat Shekalim is this idea that every single one of us can give to our community in some way. And just looking at the people on this screen, I know that every single person on this screen has given to this community in little ways, in big ways, from showing up at the synagogue when the internet is down to showing up at a gardening day and pruning some bushes, right? Every single person on this screen has come to the synagogue and has contributed, whether financially or with your actions. So I do want to say thank you. And and just remember that every single thing that you're doing for our synagogue is helpful. So I want to say thank you on this Shabbat Shekalim, this Shabbat that's also this year happens to be Rosh Hodesh Adar. Rosh Chodesh Adar, if we remember from the announcement last week, is the first Shabbat, is the first day of the month of Adar. And at the beginning of Adar, we're supposed to experience as much joy as possible. So I challenge you this month to watch some humorous movies, to read some lighthearted books. Try to embrace the joy where you can find it, even when it's cold and dark and kind of gross outside. On Monday, our office will be closed for President's Day, Monday, February 15th. And even if it wasn't President's Day, we'd probably be closed because the weather is going to be pretty gross. Don't want anybody driving in the ice. On Monday, we have our board meeting, our monthly board meeting. Thank you to those who attended the board training, who are on the board. On Tuesday, our Exploring Judaism class is finally starting. And so Tuesday, February 16th, if you haven't picked up your book yet, we have a few more books left at the synagogue. Please let me know if you're joining the class. Many of you have already let me know, so thank you for that. That's the first class is going to be about the beginnings, about what Torah is all about. On Thursday, we are going to have Rabbi Feivel's Commandments class once again. Going back in time, tomorrow, we are having our services at our synagogue. They won't be in this office. We're having our services at our synagogue, streaming everything per usual. But if you weren't here earlier, and I'm not going to go through the whole spiel again, if you weren't here earlier, if our internet happens to not be working tomorrow, I am putting in the chat 2 different websites that you can go to stream services. B'nai Zion, which is our local Reform congregation. You can join into their Torah study and Shabbat morning service, but also Rabbi Deborah Silver in New Orleans has invited us, should we need it, to Shir Chadash's service in New Orleans. That's a conservative synagogue. So we've got 2 links just in case our internet isn't working, but please God, it will be working regardless. I'll be on the bima singing into a microphone, hopefully 2 people at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
And Rabbi Silver at Shir Hadash also went to Ziegler.
She did. So she did. She also went to Ziegler. She's also a yoga teacher. So we have a lot in common. We have a dialogue going on. So if you ever see similarities between our congregations, it's probably intentional. She's a good teacher. She's a teacher of mine. I'm trying to think of other things that are on this list that are important. Oh, if you haven't gotten, if you know any veterans, please connect them to Faye Sirkin, because apparently she's got connections to getting vaccinations for veterans. So please, if you know Faye Sirkin, please contact her if you're a veteran or if you know veterans who need vaccines. If you don't know Faye Sirkin, contact me after Shabbat and I will connect you. Anything else that I am forgetting to announce that's important?
I can't think of anything, but veterans can also call the VA hospital, I believe, and find out about it. Vaccines there. I know they're starting to expand their inoculations for veterans there.
Wonderful.
I think she works there.
Yeah, I think she does. Yeah.
Anticipated time shul services will normalize. That is a great question that we will discuss on our Monday night board meeting. So please stay tuned. We'll have more on that after Monday night. No answers for that now, fortunately or unfortunately. So we'll finish tonight with Yigdal. Thank you so much for logging in tonight. Always enjoy seeing all of your faces and listening to your voices. We'll end by singing Yigdal. Yigdal Elohim Chai ve'yishtabach nimsar yehinet el metziuto echad v'en yachid keyichudo nelam v'gam ein sof le'achduto ein lo demut haguf ve'eino guf lo na'aruch elav kedushato kadmon l'chol zavar asher nivra rishon v'en reshit l'reshito hino adon olam v'chol notzar Yoreg dulato malchuto shefanuato netano elan shesegulato v'tim arto lo kam Yisrael Moshe navi umavi etmunato torachtem et natan le'amoel al yad nevio neman beito lo yachalifael velo yamir dato le'olamim lezulato tofel yodea setarenu mabit sof davar bekadmato gomel ish chesed kemifalo noten l'rashara gerishato yishlach l'ketz yamin meshichenu liftot mechakeket yeshuato metim yechayel beroch hasto baruch adei shem tilato metim yechayel beroch hasto baruch adei shem tilato Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you. Good
Shabbat
Shabbat.
shalom. Good
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Thank you,
Shabbat
everyone.
shalom.
And just so you know, as you're heading out, tomorrow's service, because it's Rosh Hodesh Adar, may be a little bit longer than normal, but there'll be some love songs in there. So just to get us ready for Valentine's Day. So
Yeah.
some new old melodies that you already know.
Very nice.
All right. Shabbat shalom.
Say
Good
if you're
to
gonna
see you.
drive.
Shabbat shalom.